Perhaps the most frequently asked question of all when somebody comes into my office after a car accident is who's going to pay my medical bills? And that's a serious question, and it's one that does not have a simple answer. Massachusetts is a no-fault state, but not really. It's actually a hybrid state, and that hybrid makes things complicated. The system begins simple enough. Every automobile insurance policy in Massachusetts has a coverage known as personal injury protection. Because I'm getting on in years and I can't say that too many more times, we're going to call it PIP. Every policy has PIP, and PIP provides $8,000 of coverage for medical bills and wage losses. That's great. Even there, though, you have a number of problems. There are issues of paperwork and documentation. This isn't like going to your doctor's office and they just electronically send the bill to Blue Cross Blue Shield. You need records, you need CPT codes, you need a number of things before the insurance company will pay these things. There are forms you have to fill out. The Personal Injury Protection Benefits Application Form, again, because of my age, the PIP form. You have to cooperate with the insurance company, and that can mean a lot of things. The insurance company has the right to have you seen by their doctor, and their doctor will always say you don't need to be treated even though you're still in pain. That's just their job. And the insurance company has the right to adjust your bills, but whether or not those adjustments are fair and reasonable is another question. So even in the simple case where it's simply a matter of the insurance company pays $8,000 of medical bills, as you can see, it's not so simple. However, if you have health insurance, and at the moment I'm referring to private health insurance, you are now subject to a system known as coordination of benefits. What that means is that the car insurance will pay your first $2,000 of medical bills, and then the bills go to the health insurance, and then to the extent that you have copays, deductibles, whatnot, it goes back to the automobile insurance. When this system first came into law back in, I believe it was 1989, Governor Dukakis was governor, and this was his big thing. And I joked at the time that only to someone who went to Harvard would this seem like a good idea, because this system has a lot of problems, and a lot of the problems are obvious. Okay, so you're in a car accident. You're taken by ambulance to the emergency room. You see the emergency room doctor. You have x-rays. Where should these people send their bill? You probably already have over $2,000 in medical bills. Who gets paid first? Now you go to see your family doctor. Should the family doctor send your bill to the car insurance or to the health insurance? Because how can the family doctor possibly know if the other people have been paid yet? So is he still part of the first 2,000 or is he not? So right off the bat, you have a problem. And oh, by the way, if they don't bill the health insurance in time, the health insurance will reject the bill. But if they bill the health insurance before the 2,000 is gone, the health insurance will also reject the bill. And if they're an in-network provider, they're in trouble with the health insurance for billing them when they're not supposed to do it. So you can see that this is a system that is fraught with peril. And you know, from the point of view of the provider, I just said what you do to get a bill paid by the car insurance is different from what you have to do to get a bill paid by the health insurance. So now the provider is billing two completely different systems with different paperwork requirements, different forms. In fact, car insurance now is a completely paper system. Health insurance now is a completely electronic system. So you have two systems that really have nothing to do with each other, and the providers are stuck in both of them. So that creates a bit of a mess. It creates a lot of unhappiness on the part of providers. In fact, it does create a situation where a lot of doctors don't want to see their own patients when they've been injured in motor vehicle accidents. In fact, we spend a lot of time in this office convincing doctors that they are obligated to see their patients, or alternatively, if they don't, that they're not going to like the outcome. And I don't mean that as a threat, because obviously my clients don't want me calling their doctors and threatening them, and I don't do that. But but things like, doctor, are you saying I have to go to the emergency room because you won't see me? Well, again, if you're an in-network provider in an HMO and your patients are going to emergency rooms because you're refusing to see them, you're now in trouble if you're with the HMO. So there are a number of subtle ways to get doctors to see their own patients. But generally speaking, a lot of them will try to avoid it. And we spend way too much time dealing with that problem. But it's because of all these billing issues. And then, of course, you have the situation of, the Dominguez problem. That's named after, I believe it was a 1999 case, Liberty Mutual versus Dominguez, where basically the Supreme Judicial Court said, if a health insurer does not pay a bill because the patient broke the rules, then PIP doesn't have to pay the bill either. So, if you go to physical therapy and your doctor hasn't given you a referral, and therefore health insurance doesn't pay because there's no referral, then car insurance doesn't have to pay either. Now think about what I just said. A lot of doctors don't even want to see their own patients when they've been injured in car accidents. So therefore they can't write the referrals. So it sounds like a catch-22, which is again why it's so important that we get the client through the doctor's door to get that referral. Another problem you have is, okay, what does it mean to break the rules? For example, say you're injured in an accident and you go to see an acupuncturist and your health insurance doesn't cover acupuncture. Well, that's not breaking the rules. That's just going outside of the health plan altogether. It's not that you went to an out-of-network acupuncturist. It's that they don't cover it at all. So that comes back in to the coordination of benefits system as something that the car insurance pays for. Same with massage therapy. However, you now have paperwork issues to document that the health insurer will not pay for that no matter what. So you can see that this is a mess. Now that assumes, however, that it's not an employer paid health insurance plan. And here we get into another whole mess, especially because the health insurer and the car insurer have different ideas of what an employer paid plan is. For my employees, if they go to see their doctor and they have health insurance that's provided by my office, my health insurance pays the bill and it has nothing to do with me. I just help pay the premium. So if my employees have, a horrible year and they're all getting sick and going to the hospital and whatnot, or my employees are healthy all year and never see a doctor, my premiums are the same. I'm out of pocket the same amount of money. I never see their bills. I just, as I say, pay their insurance premium. But if I'm General Electric, okay, my employees may have a health insurance card that says Blue Cross Blue Shield on it, but Blue Cross Blue Shield is simply administering the plan. General Electric is actually paying the bills. It self-insures. The General Electrics of the world, of course, managed to lobby their way out of the system altogether. So that creates an exception to the whole coordination of benefits system. And because of the rules on this, it must be 100% employer self-funded. You don't know until you're in the middle of it where you are on that. And you may well have a situation where the health insurer and the automobile insurer disagree on which way it comes down, and somehow we have to arbitrate that or get to the bottom of that, because the doctors or the therapists or the other providers who aren't getting paid are not happy. And unfortunately, they're right on the front line. They're seeing my clients more than I am. And if they're unhappy, my clients are unhappy. And if my clients are unhappy, well, they have a way of making me unhappy. So this is something that we all have to address. So the question of who will pay my bills is a rather interesting one. By the way, even if it is a self-funded plan, even if the person, the patient has a government plan like Mass Health or Medicare or TRICARE, PIP is only on the hook for $8,000, and then these plans all come in as usual. And there's another wrinkle that I have not yet alluded to, and that is that there's an optional coverage on the standard auto policy that I love a lot, called medical payments coverage. It's one of the few bargains on the standard auto policy. It's a cheap coverage. I think I need to look at my policy. I think I'm paying $13 a year for $25,000 of coverage, although honestly, I really don't know what I'm paying. But I know that it's a cheap coverage. And it kicks in when the $8,000 is exhausted. And there is no coordination of benefits there. It just kicks in. And it makes the check payable to the insured, to the patient, to the client. So in my case, if I were to burn up my $8,000 of PIP and then still have $25,000 of medical bills, my insurance company would be paying me the $25,000 and would be paying it to me even though I have private health insurance that is paying my bills. And one of the reasons I love this so much is because my clients who have the big bills like that are usually also missing a lot of time from work. And frankly, as much as it upsets them to have an unpaid medical bill in the middle of a case, it upsets them even more to be unable to pay their rent or to buy food in the middle of a case. No matter what, in an at-fault accident, we will eventually get those bills squared away. But if they're hungry, they're hungry. If they're evicted, they're evicted. And we can use this medical payment money, not to pay bills necessarily, but because, as I say, it's the client's money. And so, yes, they can use it to pay bills. They can use it to retire health insurance liens. They can use it for a lot of things, including rent, groceries, utilities, and gasoline for the car. So this is another piece of who pays my bills that adds another level of complication to the discussion, but it also now allows a certain amount of flexibility. Because I enjoy my work a little bit more than I should, I think of it as an opportunity to play games that are fun, because it's money for the client, and money for the client is always a good time. There is still more to this, though. But I think I've confused enough for now. Oh, but all medical bills are damages in an at-fault accident. So the insurance company for the car that hit you, that is at fault, is at the end of the day responsible for all your medical bills. However, that doesn't happen until the end. So who's going to pay my bills while you're treating? It's not them. They will never agree to pay as you go. Okay? They will only pay at the end as part of the settlement or part of the judgment or whatever ends the case. However, we do sometimes work with doctors' offices when they're not getting paid because insurance has run out, that they will wait until the settlement and then get paid out of the settlement. We are very good about negotiating with doctors' offices or especially physical therapists, because they're usually the ones who have big bills outstanding, or hospitals sometimes have big bills outstanding at the end of a case. We've been very successful at negotiating with them, to bring their bill down and just wait until the settlement comes and take a piece of the settlement to get paid. So earlier in my talk, I was alluding to the fact that at the end of the day, in these cases, the bills get squared away one way or another. But the trick is to try to get the bills squared away while the case is ongoing, or at least to get them squared away so that the client can get the treatment that they need when they need it. And that, frankly, is more art than science.